Okay, so sorry for coming your way um some few minutes late. We It looks like we facing some technical difficulties. So hopefully this is resolved now. Let's see. Give me a second to confirm this and then we'll get going. Yeah, so it looks like we're good. We're good now. So thanks for joining us for yet another episode of DFN. Last week we were having a discussion on emotional intelligence, and that is exactly what we're going to continue today. But before we delve into that, the usual. By now it's sorry. By now it's almost like I'm sure you can repeat it because I'm going to say exactly the same thing. So go out there, share your feed, and let um, family and friends know that it's time for Dear Van. Um, yep. So doing exactly the same thing, and then we get started. So hey, um, join us wherever you are. Let's know what you think. And as usual, when you join the feed, shoot a hello, shoot a hi. Hey Sammy, yeah, good to have you there. Okay, so um, let's get started. So last week we discussed one aspect of emotional intelligence. Um, which is empathy, trying to put yourself into someone's shoes. So before you go out there, say something, before you um, do something, put yourself in someone else's shoes, your spouse's shoes, and find out if it fits well or the it fits well like Cinderella or it doesn't fit well like Cinderella's stepsister. Or did I get the story right? Yeah, so um that is we continuing in the same direction. Now again, like I mentioned, this is one aspect that most of us are found wanting in. I mean, when it comes to marriage or when it comes to relationship. Um it's easier for people to discuss things like sex, intimacy, and so on and so forth, because that's the easiest thing to discuss, right? And that is what really appeals to a lot of people. But if you would really have a long lasting relationship or a long lasting marriage, these are the things that you will really need to pay attention to. And so today we're discussing another part of emotional intelligence, but today we're discussing self regulation. So apart from the fact that you need to put yourself in someone else's shoes to know how it fits, to know how the person will feel in that particular situation, there is this concept of self-regulation, which is so much needed in relationships, so much needed in marriages. Um, when you see people who have been married for 40, 50 years, it's it's nice. Everyone warms up to them. Everyone wants to listen to what the secret is. I mean, for them to have lasted that long. One thing you are sure to hear from such people is that they have learned to regulate themselves. So, when we talk about regulation, I mean, it's as simple as having a regulator for a fan, right? If it's blowing too hot and the temperature is not good for that, you turn it down. So, you should be able to have a button that that you turn when it looks like things are getting to a point where you blow up, where you would, for example, you are being forced to scream at your spouse, or you being forced to. I think now, and Prissy, I don't know what your take is. I've been doing all the talking. I don't know what your take is on this, but in the past, maybe it's because of a lot of factors, like where we're living, blah blah blah. But it was very common to hear that people have physically abused their spouses. I don't know if you think it's the same thing now, or it's gone down. I am tempted to say that it's gone down, but I don't think so. I mean, because it might depend on where you're looking at, or the angle you're looking at things from. But there should be a button that will tell you that, hey, you don't throw your hands in a relationship. You could have the urge or the temptation to call your spouse all sorts of names, to verbally abuse your spouse, to tell your spouse, as someone will put it, your mind. But there is that quality we need to develop to be able to regulate ourselves. I mean, be, so there are people who would say that, just before Prissy comes in, there are people who would say that, hey, me, I speak my mind. I hate nonsense. I'll tell you my mind. It's good to speak your mind, right? But it's not in every situation you really need to, especially in the spur of the moment, or at the time something is happening. That might not be the right time to actually speak your mind. You know, you have your mind and you speak your mind, but that might not necessarily be the best time to speak your mind, because it would cause a messy situation, right? So, yes, we know you are upfront, you speak your mind, whatever crosses your mind, you say it and all. But if you develop yourself to be self-regulated, then you know what triggers you, what are your triggers, and you learn to keep them in check. I hand over to Prissy on practical examples of such. Yeah.
Um, so, like you said, if the you were asking if of late you don't hear of,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it does happen.
Okay.
It happens, and I
Okay.
have seen one
Okay.
recently.
Okay.
And so it happens, but people want to protect their marriages and all
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And as for the verbal abuse, I think it's something that is very common.
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
common compared to the physical one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with verbal abuse, I don't know how. With physical abuse, you can take evidence to maybe a court or to the police,
Hmm.
and that can put the man in check or something, or the woman in check. But then with verbal abuse, I don't know if there's anything like go and report verbal abuse or something. There's nothing like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it is something that people do more frequently
Yeah.
to their spouses. Yes, and so um I feel that if it's someone you love, like it's somebody you love and considering as yourself, you will not want to abuse yourself. So um I don't know. For me, it will be hard for me to use harsh words on my spouse and expect that my spouse will be okay with me afterwards.
All
Yes.
right.
So I don't know. For those who do that, I don't know what goes on in their mind. But
Yeah.
honestly, I don't know.
So again, to cut everyone some slack, I think that situations happen, things happen, and people respond to it, right? So it's and again, I would say that you definitely find that in every marriage where there is an opportunity for someone to react in a certain way because of what is happening, or what is um um yeah, but what is happening in that moment, right? or what has been happening for some time. So um, that everyone will be offered that opportunity to actually react, okay, or blow out, or tell people their mind, or tell their spouses their mind, and so on and so forth. But I think what really makes the difference is being able to regulate yourself, right? Being able to, so p- some people will call it you being foolish or you being dull about something, right? But again, it's it's a heightened form of intelligence, right? To be able to know that, hey, yeah, this person is doing this thing that requires me to react. This person is doing this thing that requires me to be angry or to go off. I mean, regardless of whoever is around, regardless of what the environment or the setting is, right? But it takes, again, a higher sense of intelligence to say that, okay, that's fine. Let me just take it as if nothing has happened. In the right time, would deal with this. In the right time, would solve it or would discuss it, right? So again, um, back to seeing people who are married for 40 years, 50 years, and so on and so forth. These are things that they have mastered. These are things that they have learned over the years. And it's not like, for some of them, it's not even like they were successful at it at the beginning, right? But as time went on, they grew through it. They decided to be more emotionally intelligent, or keep their emotions under check, have their regulator always tuned very well, and that is how they are able to go through. I mean, some of these stuff. You would see in some marriages that a discussion will be going on, and then one party would be quiet. Most times, and especially if these are people who have been together for long, most times that is actually self-regulation in check, in practice, right? So instead of replying to whatever one spouse has said or one partner has said, the person who is trying to be emotionally intelligent there would immediately turn down the switch and would rather be quiet, because if that person allows himself or herself to speak, there would be fireworks, right? And so these are very practical ways to actually display self-regulation. But the fact about it is that sometimes people, what we are not saying is keeping quiet over everything, and then it fills up the bottle, and at a point everything explodes. It will be more difficult to handle such situations. What we actually saying is that, looking at the setting, looking at the environment, looking at the conditions pertaining, you would look for a better time to actually address that, and hopefully by then you are even calmed down, and you can address such situations more rationally, right? Because in the heat of the moment, when you are excited in a negative sense, then it will be difficult to even really think through and get any good resolution. It will just be everyone shouting on top of their voices, trying to be heard when no one is really ready to hear anyone. And so again, this might not necessarily come so easily, right? that you are seeing something and you want to say something and you want to address something, but just because of what the current conditions are, you decide that okay, let me control myself, let me hold myself for now. Now, just before Prissy comes in, I see that most people are very successful at self-regulation in their professional settings, but when it comes to marriage, or relationships, it's sometimes difficult to exhibit that.
Aside the professional, even at the religious
Exactly, in
setting.
their religious settings and everything. Most people are very self-regulated. So you would see a co-worker who keeps um going at someone, and just because you know that in this setting you can't react. If you react, you have negative consequences, and so on and so forth. Because of that, people hardly really react. They are very self-regulated.
Mhm.
And they would look like they are so emotionally intelligent till you get to their homes and you realize that, oh no, I mean, it was just because of the confines of the professional setting or religious setting, and that's why it looks like they are self-regulated. And so, a practical step: just think through how you would react to a situation at your workplace, just the way you will not go at your boss. I know of people who actually tell their bosses their minds. They are special breed of people, right? But in a general sense, most people would even take all the nonsense or rubbish from their bosses and just deal with it as it is. So, in the same vein, you want to bring that self-regulation to your homes to have these more peaceful homes. Prissy.
And I think that self-awareness too is necessary. So um, sometimes you know that you are quick-tempered, or you you have a certain attitude. Like there are people who are, I'll say, OCD. Maybe they are very petty at like things that not regular people will not take it as an issue. They will.
Yeah.
So if you know you are easily irritated and all that, you should know how you are. I think that also helps you to be able to control yourself, because there are people who are easily irritated, but they think they don't know, they are not aware
Yeah.
that they are, and things that people will not get angry at
Yeah.
easily, it will get them angered. So when you know you are that way, then it means that there are steps you should take to ensure that you don't easily get irritated, you don't get petty at things.
Yeah.
And so when you know, like you know who you are, so we have to learn about our nature, learn about ourselves, and then that is the first step to solving most of these problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are people like, sometimes I'm surprised because this person is overreacting. Like something that you expect children to react to, not adults. They would they would get angry at that. So I think that we should work at that, and then our maturity too. Yeah. So
Okay.
there are things that we could work on ourselves. It might not, the problem might not be your partner, but it might be you.
Right.
You the individual. So we have to work on ourselves. Yeah.
Correct. So would also find time to go deep into the self-awareness with Prissy is talking about. Self-awareness is also another component of emotional intelligence that we'll be talking about. But like Prissy mentioned, it really ties into that. If you really self-aware, you know your triggers, you know what makes you angry, you know what your pet peeves are, you know what you can't deal with. Like there are some things you see and you go like, what on earth is this, right? And so when you really know yourself, then you know how to go about that. Hey, um Reverend Sowa, good to have you. Reverend Sandra, good to have you. MFA, good to have you. So yes, you would need to really work on this self regulation. quality of yourself, it's not only going to help you in your marriage. So I it looks to me, this might be a wrong observation, right? But it looks to me like almost all people who have been married for long, I observe that there is one of them that looks like he or she is ready to take a lot of nonsense, right? I mean, when you see the two of them, it looks like there is one of them who would not mind, I mean, whatever it is. Again, it does not mean that the person does not address issues, but the person knows when to do that, and at the end, you not find the person, I mean, blow out, or you not find the person to angry and so on and so forth. And so, um, just as you would go in to turn your thermostat when the temperature is cold and you want it to go a bit hotter so that the temperature in the room is comfortable, or try to drop the temperature if it's things are a bit hot, you should be able to control yourself. I mean, if you cannot control yourself, it will be difficult to go out there to change anything really in the world, because I think that if you can develop the power to control yourself, to know um, when to react to what and how to react to what, then you should be in a good place. MFA says that good to see you too. Keep up the good work. Thanks, MFA. Yeah. So as it stands, some of these things when they are being discussed, it looks like, oh, yeah, but this is common sense, like we said last week. This is common sense, right? But till you are hit with a situation that you feel like, oh, but I am in the right. Like you really review everything and it looks like, oh yeah, I have a point and I need to let you know my point. I need to really let you know how right I am. And within that space, you still find a route to say that, okay, yes, I know I am right. I know you are in the wrong, but let me hold this here for now, and then we'll find a good time to discuss it. It takes a lot of maturity to actually do that. It takes a lot of course. I mean, especially if you have one spouse who is who looks like he or she is always right, then you on the opposite side will be hunting for opportunities to show the partner that you can also be right, right? So the moment that opportunity presents itself, you go like, hey, this is it.
I got you.
Yeah, let me also show you that I am right. Let me show you where power lies, right?
And for the one who is always right,
Yeah,
will not want to be wrong. So
exactly.
even when you are showing them,
Yeah,
that's the truth. When you are
yeah,
showing them that you are right, they know in their head that you're right,
right,
but they will still want to win. So
right.
if you know that you have a partner who always wants to be right, I don't think that even going at the person to let the person know that you are right
Exactly.
might sort out anything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So just know when to hit which button. Just know when to um say certain stuff. Just know when to even show emotion. Sometimes you behave as if nothing has happened and continue. Tricia, good to have you. As we grow older, I get to realize that when you see people married or you see people in a relationship, right, it doesn't necessarily mean that um one party is happy with the other party always. I mean, it's not human. It can never happen, right? It doesn't also mean that one party is always trying to get things in a certain way and make that happen, right? It's a combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of a lot of things, and so that is the more reason why you give a lot of respect to people when you see that they've been together for a long while, because it takes a lot of maturity. And this is the nice thing about marriage. You don't get matured before you go inside. And this is what I mean. You never know what you'll be hit with. So it is when you are hit with a thing that sometimes immediately you have to develop the maturity to be able to handle that, because that's the only way you are able to go through it, right? So, hey, Sally, good to have you. So, basically all we're saying is that in order to have a good successful marriage, you should be someone who is able to regulate yourself. You should be someone who is able to control yourself. You should be someone who knows when to say what. It is also a skill. It is, and you can't go in with your raw self and say that, hey, me, whatever I say, I say it as it is. Me, whatever I say. Everyone can do that. That's so raw, right? Everyone can just blow out, get angry when something is done against them, and then they can go mad, blah blah blah. It doesn't take any skill to be ordinary, right? But it takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of tact and maturity to look all good, all calm, even when someone is playing the fool, right? So that is what we'll leave you with. Prissy, I hand over to you for your final words, and then
Yeah, so like you said, it takes maturity to defer actions. your
yeah,
response, yes.
yeah,
So it will take a lot of maturity and also make you look matured if you don't react in the moment,
right,
and you have enough time to even reflect about what you are going to say
exactly,
and all that. When you give it time and you cool down, you put your thoughts together and then use the right words.
yeah,
You have to talk about the issue
yeah,
rather than reacting in the moment.
yeah,
Yeah, so I believe that the regulation here is true. And if your partner still wants to address the issue, there's a way you can change the topic or tactically
deflect it,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes,
right.
because one way of resolving conflict is also by deferring.
Yeah, avoiding. Although
Avoiding.
that one
It's
is
not
bad.
resolving,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's also
Push it
a
out.
way of addressing. It's a way of addressing
Yeah,
conflict. You don't have to address it that very moment. You can
correct.
defer it. Yes, so
Yeah,
it gives you enough time to think about it and then find the right response and all that.
exactly.
So yeah, so we should control the way we talk to each other and then also look at the choice of words,
Yeah,
because our words can go a long way to make or make our marriage. So
right,
yeah.
right. So yeah, again, it looks more difficult than it is, right? That is why people don't find it easy to be in relationships or to get married, right? Because I mean, if it's easy, then of course everyone will do it and will be so happy about it, right? But there are things that don't naturally occur to us, and we will need to learn, right? We will need to learn it. Otherwise, I mean, it will be tough. Okay, so MFA says that I have deep respect for you both, Vanilla and Prissy. Oh, thanks, MFA. He said, I remember way back how you both dated when you were much younger and kept the relationship going, got married way earlier before some of us joined in. You guys are a good example and a proof of what you are sharing. Keep it up. thanks so much, MFA. I feel flattered, but in again, just to tie into what we are sharing, it, it does it looks easier than it really is, right? Because every now and then you get to learn something to push yourself to be more mature, yeah. Thanks so much for that. We appreciate the compliment, but then again, it's work in progress. Every day after day, you learn new things. You go like, oh, it looks like. I mean, if you really do a good introspection, look at yourself, you know that, oh, I can do this better. I can do this better, and I think that that is actually a good ingredient for having a good relationship. I mean, when you can always do monitoring and controlling, check yourself, review yourself. Okay, what can I do better? And the other party is also doing the same thing. Then there is that principle I like so much, which is Kaizen, the Japanese principle of continuous improvement, no matter how small, no matter how small. So when it comes to self-regulation, hey, you might not get it the first time. I don't even think that I am there yet when it comes to self-regulation, but it is learning to build line upon line, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. That way, in the long run, you would have built something good out of your relationship and all. So yeah, try. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's just like someone is pushing a pin into your eye and you're saying, "No, it's okay. Don't react. Just relax. Find a nice way to." It's not easy. Someone is just asking, "What if improving?" Molly is asking, "What if improving causes more harm than good?" Um, I so right off the bat, I don't see how you trying to improve yourself would cause more harm than good. Unless you're trying to improve yourself, the other party feels that, okay, I'm not interested in this improvement thing. I'm done with it. I don't want to come along with you in that improvement journey. Then in that situation, um, there is an imbalance there, and it takes two to get this thing to work. This thing called relationship or marriage to work. So
I get what Maui because
right.
sometimes um when one spouse is quiet
Mm-hmm.
during an argument, the
Yeah.
other one can get even more peeved because feels that you are ignoring me
Yeah. Yeah.
and would rather increase the like you can't hear me. I'm talking, you can't hear me.
Yeah, I get that. But if we really analyze that carefully, if you react, the temperature in the room will go higher. You get what I mean? So even if the other party is angry um for you keeping quiet or turning on your regulator or being able to regulate yourself, it is a nicer version of the trouble that lies in wait. You get what I mean? If you decide to also get angry, two people get angry, they are talking on top of their voices, shouting, screaming, yelling. No one gets to hear anyone. All you guys are doing is increasing the decibel in the room. No one gets to understand another person's side of the whole story, right? So yes, it might feel like you are ignoring me. I'm talking and you are not talking, but Mr. Husband or Mrs. Wife know that it will be worse if the person decides to react. I mean, for example, like me personally, you you should prefer it when I'm quiet. Although that wouldn't be the nicest thing to do, it's best when I'm when I'm quiet,
Mhm.
because all I'm doing is telling myself, okay, keep calm, take it easy, take it easy. You don't want to see my non-quiet self. so if you see me quiet, you should be thanking God, right? So it's I don't think it gets better when everyone is up here, right? So it's better when one person tries to tone down. And again, if you are a spouse and the other spouse is taking it easy, shut your mouth. Don't you go like, hey, and I'm talking and you won't talk, and I'm talking. It's just easy.
And then you get sometimes the other person to feel that, oh, when I talk, he can't say anything. So they continue
Yes.
angering the person. But one day it'll just get full. And so, you know,
So-
such people,
Mhm.
the quiet ones, sometimes the way they react,
It's dangerous.
it's dangerous.
Yeah,
They can just pack their things one day and they are gone. They won't tell you
that's it.
anything.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
are just gone. So
Yeah.
you shouldn't.
So don't abuse it.
Yeah.
Someone is taking it easy, someone is being calm about things. Don't abuse it. And to what Prissy just said, the reason why it gets to a point where people will not say anything for a long time and the next thing you see, they say, I'm done, is after they are quiet in that situation, they don't. Okay, so it is not more dangerous for one person to bottle it down. The day they explode, it would be. I couldn't read that side, but it's fine. And that's where we're going to. What we are not saying is keep quiet and bottle everything down. No, 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 no. Bottle everything up, and then one day you explode. No, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is in that moment, something is happening that might not be the time to respond. And so at that point, learn to bottle it up, find a nice time to come out to address it. That's what we're saying. Because if you bottle everything up, trust me, one day you pack your bags and leave. It's always best to discuss it. And again, partners, if someone is pressed with something and is discussing it, listen to the person. That's the least you can do, right? I mean, listen to what someone has been quiet about for a long while and has not let you in. If you are wise enough, you try to find a solution to it, right? So yeah, again, we're not saying that go bottle everything up, and all we're saying is that in that moment, if you want to react, you would. It would be a mother of all bombs. You just explode. If you take some time to process it yourself, you might even find a reason why whatever is happening, and you wouldn't react to it like you would have in its fresh state, right? So um again, these are not easy things. I am telling you, these are not easy peasy stuff that you easily get to do without thinking about it and all. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of shutdown of your ego or your self-respect or your self whatever. Just take it easy and find a time and to discuss it. That's how difficult it is to maintain a relationship for a very long time, right? So, okay, we've gone about 9 minutes past our time. Thank you so much for joining us. It was good having you. Try to self-regulate, right? Try. It's not easy. It's difficult, but try. People will take you as a fool for doing that. Try. It's more for your sanity than even your spouse or your partner. So thanks for joining us. We'll come your way again next week, God willing, with yet another episode of Dear Man. always remember that the way someone regulates themselves might not be the way you regulate yourself, because no two relationships are the same. Thank you. Cheers and bye for now. So if Sammy doesn't take us off, we'll keep talking. Yeah, but hey, was good to come your way. So